The Milwaukee Brewers did what they had to do against a bad team like the Pittsburgh Pirates. They went out and handily swept that 3-game series. We'll get to that. Look ahead to Texas next here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And this incredible season just keeps rolling along. Hey, everybody. Chuck Freimund. Good to have you along. Longtime sportscaster, proud host of Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Monarch Money, take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, monarchmoney.com, 50% off your first year with Monarch Money. Just a great weekend in Pittsburgh. Brewers outscored these guys 19-5. We'll talk about that. Bryce Turang. I saw a post and an article done on Bryce Turang. I was like, man, this guy's got all the credentials to be an MVP of the National League. We'll talk about that. And the Texas Rangers, who are fighting for a playoff spot, they're next for the Milwaukee Brewers. Football season did start, obviously. But even if the Brewers were playing at the same time as the Green Bay Packers, I'd be the guy walking into the bar. Hey, do you have the Brewer game going on anywhere? Anybody out there like me, like that? Now, fortunately, the Packers and the Brewers were at two different times today, but sometimes they run into each other. But I'm like, go to a place and it's like, I want to watch the Brewers, man, especially now the way things are going. And what a weekend this was for the Milwaukee Brewers, improving the record to 89-55, outscoring them, as I mentioned, 19-5. Pirates had one lead in this series, and that was Friday night. They had a 2-1 lead, like in the sixth inning or so. And then Bauers hit a 2-run single. And ever since then, it was all Milwaukee Brewers. But they did it with starting pitching. Starting pitching ruled the day. And it ruled the weekend for the Milwaukee Brewers, just like it's ruled the entire season. Starting pitching. And that starting pitching, as you know, has got to go deep. And it did this week to help out the Milwaukee Brewers. And when I say deep, well, there was no short starts. I thought Priester pitched terrific. 7 solid innings on Friday. Then he come back with Woodruff, 6 solid innings on Saturday before he said he had enough. And then Mizorowski, his longest start of the year, 7 on Friday. But look at this. We've been talking about how tired the bullpen is. You look at the game on Saturday night. The Brewers used Fetty, Myers, Ashby, Robbie Z. Ashby closed it out, but they didn't have to go to their frontline guys there. Okay. Now they got 5 guys on the injured list, including their closer, McGill. Uribe should be all ready to go for this upcoming series against the Rangers. And today the Brewers used Payamps and they finished it up with Yoho. That's perfect. That is absolutely perfect. Payamps in a 9-1 game, perfect spot for the guy. Or whatever it was, 10-2 game, perfect spot for that guy. Yeah, I felt the Brewers gave their frontline bullpen, the guys who are healthy, a break this weekend. And they went to like the 3rd string bullpen on Sunday. And it was because of Jake Mizorowski, who was spectacular. Turned in a terrific outing. Now, Brewers scored 4 in the top half of the first inning. They come in the bottom of the first inning. And you know how it is with Miz. Sometimes he can give things back right away. And he walked the first 2 Pirates. And then he got a ground out, double play ball. And the rest is history. Miz never walked another guy the rest of the night. And he just kept rolling on. 7 strong, 8 strikeouts, 108 pitches for Mizorowski. That was so crucial because they didn't have to use a lot of bullpen guys. They didn't have to use their frontline guys, and it was terrific. You can't use Ashby every day. I think they used too much of Mears, and look what got him on the injured list. And they have 5 guys, 5, the DL Halls and guys like that. They're on the injured list, and we got to get all these guys back healthy. And the Brewers are just finding a ways. You look at every day when the Brewers are playing, and you're saying, okay, this lineup they're putting out there, how are they going to find a way to win? I told you I don't worry about the lineup too much, but This weekend, Bauers stepped up in all three of the games. In all three of the games, Bauers was the offensive hero in all three of the games. Bauers had a 2-run single to put them ahead on Friday night, 2-run home run, put them on the board Saturday, and then that 2-run double in the first inning today after the bases were loaded. Turang gets aboard, and Collins with a base hit. Contreras walks in. Bauers with a 2-run double gets the things going against Bubba Chandler. And the hits just kept on coming. And the Brewers put up 4 runs in that first inning, and they gave Mizrowski a nice cushion, and they cruised. But that lineup comes out on Sunday morning. It's Turang leading off, Collins. Okay, we're both good with that. Contreras, Bauers in the cleanup spot, Vaughn, Durbin, Perkins, Jansen, and Ortiz. I mean, does that sound like a team that's going to win 100 games? No, it doesn't. Frelick wasn't there. Yelich wasn't there. Churiel was out. And of course, I saw the betting line just drop. Brewers were like a minus 115 favorite by game time. All day long, man. All day long. The Brewers were like slight favorites, I thought, for most of this weekend. You know, when I say slight favorites, they weren't like minus 200. You know, at 130, 150, 160 or so. And then like 120 or 115 it was today. I'm like, oh my God, with the Miz on the mound against Bubba Chandler, I'll take my chances. The Brewers are going to sweep this series. Man, I noticed that all 3 of these games this weekend, the betting line went from the Brewers being favored, and it would drop like 20 points, 25 points before game time towards the Pirates. The Brewers defied that. A lot of people must have lost a lot of money thinking they were smarties out there betting on the Pirates. Yeah, I'm sure people looked at it and they said, well, no Churiel. Yelich is out for a 5th game. Frelick not in the lineup. Oh, the Pirates are going to win today. If you've watched the Milwaukee Brewers, you know that's not the way it works. Not the way it works at all. Right? I'm not getting any more messages of people complaining about the lineup. We're not talking about the Sunday lineup at all, because when your team is 89-55 and beating teams like they are, and I don't want to hear, well, the Pittsburgh Pirates are yeah, I know the Pirates are bad. They swept the Dodgers, but as we're figuring out, beating the Dodgers these days, it's weird to say it, not a big deal. I mean, the Dodgers since August are like way below the 500 mark. Actually, since July, they're way below the 500 mark. Pretty much playing non-competitive baseball for whatever reason, whatever's going on there, which is not our problem. And hopefully that continues in the postseason. But the Brewers, you know, they don't get fat, sassy, and all full of themselves like maybe some of these big market teams do. The Brewers just churning out. And for a 3rd time this year, they're 34 games over the 500 mark. And they get up to a 9-1 lead after 3 innings and just, we're good to go. And if you wanted to focus more on football at that point, you were good. You were good. Vaughn had 4 hits, 3 singles, and a double. Everybody got a hit in this lineup but Durbin. Everybody got a hit but Durbin in this lineup. But I just thought the starting pitching, the way it was all weekend long, with Priester setting a club record with 11 straight wins. Phenomenal. Priester. Somebody wrote me this weekend, Chuck, are you ready to admit that Priester's trade was a good one? I'll say this, and I've said this before on radio. I had no problem getting Priester. It just appeared at the time they gave too much away. There was not I think a lot of you agreed. It's like they traded for Priester, and they're giving up 3. They got cash. They got players in return. They got the 18-year-old prospect, and I was like, gosh, who's Quinn Priester that they're giving up all the prospects? Obviously, it turned out great for the Brewers. It turned out great for the Brewers, but nobody forecasted him winning 11 games in a row and being 12-2 at this point, or whatever it is. Yeah, 12-2, I think it is. It's like and I'm not comparing Priester to Brett Favre. It's like when the Packers, Ron Wolf gave Atlanta a 1st-round pick for Brett Favre, who was basically a 3rd-string quarterback with the Falcons. tell me, initially we were like, what? Why are we trading a first-round pick for a guy who's a third-string quarterback with the Falcons and got some issues going on? Well, obviously, you would trade it, in retrospect, 7 first-round draft picks for Brett Favre, facetiously. And Priester, it's turning out all those, the load that the Brewers sent to Boston was a good move. I have people from Boston texting me all the time, friends of mine in the media. Man, we sure could use Quinn Priester. Maybe he doesn't have that same type of success in Pittsburgh or Boston, but he's having it here. Guys come here and they produce. Vaughn didn't have any success with the White Sox. He comes here and he produces, right? Brewers have a way of turning some of these guys around. Woodruff, Saturday night. Again, a guy came back from missing the entire season last year on the injured list. We didn't know what to expect from Woodruff. He's coming back and pitching like an ace. And then Mizorowski, yeah, he's had a couple of shaky starts as of late. Murphy stretches him out today for 108 pitches, and they got just a terrific game out of him. Renewed my faith in Miz for the postseason. Yeah, recently I was like, God, I don't know if I want that guy to pitch a postseason game. He looked ace-worthy on Sunday afternoon. Unbelievable. But like I said, these starters going a decent amount, resting the bullpen, and the Brewers getting comfortable leads. Well, they had a 4-0 lead after Churio's home run on Saturday night, late in the game. And then Sunday's game, getting out to a 9-1 lead, like that never happens with the Brewers. Well, they've done that before, only to have the opponent come back and make it a game. Some of those games, the Brewers, there was an 8-0 lead they had, and they would have get down to 8-6. Then they blow a 6-0 lead last homestand, and forgot who it was that came back and tied it up. But we've all been there. We've seen what these guys do. But man, they were out to this 9-1 lead, and they weren't going to blow this one. The Brewers are great. It's funny. I was reading an article from a national guy previewing the Texas Rangers, and he was writing for the like Dallas Morning News or one of the newspapers down there. And he says, "Oh, the starter for the Rangers last, he's got a tough start ahead of him, having to face the Milwaukee Brewers. Rangers are going to find out with the Milwaukee Brewers what they're made out of here in the next 3 days. What the rest of baseball is finding out." All right. I'm going to take a break here, come back, talk about Turang. I feel like Bryce Turang, his batting average should be like 420. That's how good he's been. I feel like he gets a hit every time up. And I saw something that kind of rung a bell and says, you know what? Maybe the guy is an MVP candidate. We'll get that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Monarch Money, great way to keep track of all your finances. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401, properties, the 401k, the properties, investments. If you don't have that full picture down, well, Monarch Money could tell you exactly where you're going with it and if you're leaving money on the table. Monarch Money, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface. On your laptop, on your phone, it's right there. It's going to tell you where you're spending your money, where your money's going, where your paycheck's going, what you're doing foolishly, what you're doing right, everything you need to do. It's all laid out for you. Use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. You got to go to the browser and go monarchmoney.com, and you're going to get half off your first year when you use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. It's going to tell you where you're spending money. We spend it going out to eat too much, but then it's up to you to take its advice of what to do. monarchmoney.com, 50% off your first year. Chuck Freimund here on Locked On Brewers. Good to have you along on a Monday morning. We're not Monday morning quarterbacking the Green Bay Packers. We're Monday morning quarterbacking the Green Bay Packers, and it's a good spot to be in because the Brewers have been consistent winners here in the last 7 or 8 years. Most of my life, not so much. But recently, we got it good, and we got it great right now. All right, right now, I want to let you know that you can get my podcast on Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your audio podcasts. We're the #1 Brewers podcast on the internet. We're on all the audio platforms. That's for all you YouTube users out there, or if you happen to stumble on us tonight or early Monday morning. We're on all the podcast platforms out there. Please set an alert, whatever you need to do. to get this podcast every day. It's all free. And if you're already listening to us on the audio version, come inside our Locked On Brewers studio, our home studio. We got all the brewer paraphernalia up and all that. And it's all good. It's all good. Filled in on the Locked On Brewers postcast today for Brandon. He'll be back tomorrow, but when there's Packer games, we filling in on a few of his postcasts right after the game. But catches his postcast. He does a terrific job. Locked On Brewers also on YouTube. Search Locked On Brewers on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. Brewer Fanatic does some great stuff. If you want to go to that, check it out. It's a great blog. These guys who do the vlogs and all that, man, these guys got some phenomenal insight. And I think a few years ago, maybe 20, the media, so-called, didn't want to give these guys much credit, but I think that's changed because these guys are good. These guys watch the stuff. These guys are watching the games. They're there watching every pitch. And these guys are smart guys writing some of this stuff. And I like Brewer Fanatic. There's a bunch of them, Brew Crew Ball, you name it. There's a bunch of them. Brewer Fan. I don't want to leave anybody out, but there's a ton of good stuff out there. Brewer Fanatic talked about Turang and MVP. And yeah, why not? Why isn't Turang getting any voice for MVP? He's batting .294. How is he only batting .294? Are they not counting some of his hits? I feel the guy's hitting like 400. He's always leading off the game with a walk or a base hit or a home run. He's been great out there defensively. I mean, is there a more complete baseball player right now? Especially what the Brewers are paying him. I mean, pound for pound, dollar for dollar, he's the best bargain in baseball for sure. And that's going to change someday. And Mark Attanasio, as I said before, better be ready to pay up and keep this guy in Milwaukee. We don't want to see Turang doing this stuff for anybody else. This guy is a budding superstar. Flat out budding superstar. Now, he didn't homer this weekend, but he's got 17. He was the August player of the month. We know that. But the 11 home runs he hit. He's fourth in the league in batting average at .294. And he's a Gold Glove second baseman. And now he's hitting home runs. Yes, Turang. The Brewers, the MVP of the National League should come from the Milwaukee Brewers. They have a bunch of guys who are contributing on this team, and it takes everybody, and that's what it is. It is a total team. I mean, might as well give the whole, for National League MVP, maybe it should just be the Milwaukee Brewers and not one player, because that's what it is, right? There's so many guys like Bauers this weekend, pick it up. And that's what team baseball is all about. But back to reality, Turang should be an MVP candidate. How come nobody's talking about this guy? Brewer Fanatic, you are right. Turang, MVP candidate. Huge August. The guy never has a bad at bat. Rarely does he have a bad at bat. And in my opinion, a budding superstar. If not, he's already there. Okay. Pat Murphy's talked about him, and he said, you know what, this guy, we haven't seen the best of this guy. And he said this last year. He is right. So Turang, man, those dollar signs keep going up. But Turang should be in the MVP conversation. Christian Yelich. Every day the lineup comes out, Yelich is not in. He's missed 5 games now. I feel like the Brewers are just trying to bide some time here. I felt like they were going to bring him back in this Pirates series, but they got by without him just to buy some more time. I feel like they're really trying to temper him for the postseason. Just taper him, just make sure he's ready for the postseason right now, right? There's no rush to get Yelich back, right? Especially since all the other guys who are chasing all the other teams that are chasing us right now got beat again. I mean, the division race, the Cubs. We'll talk more about a little bit about the Cubs here a little bit, what they did on Sunday. But there's no need to rush Yelly back. You probably could sit him out this weekend as well. And Hoskins, I don't know. The way Bauers was swinging the bat this weekend, and the fact that Bauers can play the outfield in addition to first base, and Hoskins can only play first base, I don't know what they're going to do with Hoskins. You got to keep Vaughn on the team. You're not going to DFA Bauers. He doesn't have any options left. And you wouldn't do that anyway. I mean, you wouldn't DFA him. You wouldn't send him down. He's got to be on this team. I don't know where there's rooms for Hoskins on this team. I think it's Tuesday. They got to make a decision on him, or it might be Monday. It's one of these days. It's very soon. They got to make a decision on him. But if there was a place for him to go, he'd be on the roster. But right now, there's no room for Rhys Hoskins. The Brewers are good to go. Unfortunately, hurt his thumb, and the Brewers found other sources there. And I like Bauers. I want Bauers on my postseason roster. I know he can be streaky at times, but I love him he hit that 3-run home run in the postseason last year. I love what he did all weekend this weekend. Good at bats. He doesn't chase pitches out of the strike zone. Puts up good at bats. Honestly, guys, I don't know what to do with Hoskins. I don't know. Good problem to have, but I just don't know. All right. We're going to talk about the Rangers series coming up next. What happened with Jesus Mate? There's a report on there. Some good stuff with him. And injury update on a couple of pitchers. We'll get to that coming up next. Chuck Freimund here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. All right. This show is also brought to you by Zippix. Zippix toothpicks. Whether you're looking for a nicotine satisfaction or an energy boost, Zippix has got you covered with their nicotine and caffeine-infused toothpicks. Nicotine users, Zippix provides a discreet way to satisfy your cravings and the hand-to-mouth habit without vaping or smoking. Zippix can be a helpful tool as you work to reduce your dependence on vaping. Available with 6 great flavors, 2 milligram, 3 milligram nicotine options. And if you need an energy without crash, their caffeine toothpicks are a game changer. Go to zippixtoothpicks.com. Enter the promo code Locked On for 10% off your first order. Got to be 21 years old or more to enter. Warning: nicotine is an addictive chemical. That's zippixtoothpicks.com. zippixtoothpicks.com. Promo code Locked On. Zip more, smoke less with Zippix toothpicks. All right, a couple of notes here before we get to what's going to happen here in the next couple of days for the Brewers. DL Hall, I get messages about him. He's still targeted for late September. McGill, maybe next week. Maybe next week for him to get healthy. All signs are pointing that he's been terrific on his rehab. Things are coming along real well with his flexor strain. And McGill next week. Mate didn't have a long stay in Appleton. We knew that was going to happen. Reports are he's getting reported to Double-A, 5th best prospect in all of baseball. He was hitting 343 down at up in Appleton. Well, unless you're listening in Upper Michigan or Green Bay, it's down in Appleton. 343, a 915 OPS. Same thing that they did with Churio in 2022 and Cooper Pratt last year. You know, they'll promote him toward the end here to Double-A. So Marty is going to get promoted to Double-A. Texas Rangers coming up here, and the Brewers go in with a 5.5 game lead on the Phillies, 7.5 on the Cubs. The Cubs, Phillies, San Francisco, and Toronto lost. The Cubs, did you see it? Valencia didn't retire a batter, gave up 5 runs in the top of the ninth inning against Washington. Washington went into Wrigley and took 2 or 3 this weekend. How about that? Cubs tried to hold on like council teams do. You know, they tried to hold on to a 2-1 lead late on, just lifeless the whole game, trying to just hold on for dear life like we've seen council's teams do here, and got burned. Boy, the Cub fans are just ticked off. But not our problem. We got the better manager. Milwaukee at Texas. Only time the Brewers will play Texas all year long. Quintana against Lotz. Brewers have not named their starter for Tuesday, but it appears it could be Chad Patrick. Leiter goes for Texas. Kelly on Friday against Kelly on Wednesday against Peralta. This Lotz, Guy's been back and forth from a starter to a bullpen, came up in 2021, 1-0, a 3.15 earned run average, 29 years old, left-handed pitcher. Left-handed pitcher. So that means Yelich won't be in the lineup. Turang, Frelick, you know how that goes. And then at 420, we'll be screaming, why are all these guys not in the lineup? Bauers. And then Durbin will come up and have 4 hits. That's just the way it works. It's just the way it works with this Brewers. These guys are just incredible. Just incredible. And like I've always said, we can't say that. Any superlatives you say about the Milwaukee Brewers have never been said before ever about the Milwaukee Brewers in terms of greatness. And this team is great, right? They're no fluke. They're strong to the finish. I think there's some Brewer fans out there who still are a little concerned, a little worried. And I don't want to hear, Chuck, this team's got to win a postseason series. I get it. We'll worry about that when we get to it. But right now, I'm enjoying turning on my TV on a Saturday, on a Friday night, Sunday afternoon like today, and watching and being entertained for 3 hours by great Brewers baseball, pitching, hitting, timely hitting, doing all the good things that the Texas Rangers aren't doing as of late, hitting with runners in scoring position. Well, the Brewers did struggle with that on Friday night, right? But they got a couple of clutch hits when they needed it. They were like 1 for 16 at one point in that game. All right. Have yourself a great Monday, everybody. My name is Chuck Freimund. You've been listening to Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day.